7:32 Eastern, and we're going to try to get through this real quick. We got put out a video that I should have put out yesterday that I didn't get a chance to put out, so I put that out, and we're going to try to continue our piggyback off of that. And so we'll see what happens this morning, what we're looking at, and maybe get an idea where we're headed to. All right, so let's get it. First up is Bitcoin, of course, and Bitcoin continues to sell. Hit that 88,000 area that I had mentioned in the video that I just put out this morning. So excuse me about that, but we did get that sell off. Hit that 88. Pre-market it bounced about 86, bounced back up to about 88,736. So I think Bitcoin is well on its way to come down in here and close this window that it left open. I believe some analysts were saying that they're thinking like around 55,000 on Bitcoin, or 55,000 might be too low or something like that. But I think it's doable. I think actually it's going to probably go lower than that, but that's just me. But I almost positive we're going to shut this window, and I have a feeling we're going to continue to go lower. I think it's at this point now we're shaking out the weak hands in a lot of these stocks. And what I mean by shaking them out, I mean is that the people that want to control Bitcoin are trying to buy up as much of it as they can, and by them ringing the register at these higher prices, those people that are jumping in late, because there's always somebody jumping in late, they're getting trapped up there, thinking that that you hear somebody saying, "Oh yeah, it's going to 200,000." Yeah, well, we got to 110. I'm sorry, got to 110. Maybe it might turn around and go that way, but I'm thinking it's going to be later on into this year or into next year if it does. And if that's the case, then I think maybe we're going to continue to sell off, because I think it's the 4-year cycle or whatever. So I think we might have already reached our peak in Bitcoin, but that's just my feeling. I don't claim to know everything about Bitcoin. Next up is we got Bitcoin again, of course, which is continuing to sell off. Like I said, window open down here, probably heading down to 74, maybe even 50,000. Next up is oil, and oil ran into some trouble, and it is selling off again into the morning. Pre-market we're at about $70.33. So I think oil is going to come on down into the $67, at least retest this area that it's tested so many times and try to find a nice, happy landing spot. But I think we're heading down in oil. Next up is the E-mini S&P index, and continue to get that sell off in the S&P. Maybe coming down into here, retest this area at 5,857. We'll see, but we're definitely in an uptrending market, but we got some sell signals. And there's a window open over here, down here also, so there's that. Next up is Ethereum, and coming down here to reconcile this pointer. So we'll see what happens with that. Next up is gold, and gold's still bouncing off that ceiling, and in the pre-market it's down here. Alright, so we may be finally getting some sell in the gold, but we'll see, because we know we came down in here and bounced back up, so we may be bouncing around in this channel right here, our range. Alright, so keep an eye on this range. If we break below that, then most likely we're heading back down in here on gold. Alright, next up is natural gas. And natural gas finding some support at about $3.93, but um, we know oil is looking kind of weak right now. So natural gas most likely is going to start turning weak also, but um, you know the we're still got winter weather in some places. So and I don't know about you, but I know my SMUD and PG&E has gone through the freaking roof. Support on the E-mini Nasdaq futures. We're looking like we're coming down into this 20,983. So look for some support in here. Got our moving averages coming up to help support. If we break down through here the moving averages, then it's no telling how far we're going to fall. And right now, the markets are looking so weak, even with the Doge Father and the Red Menace. We're still getting these sell signals in the market. So I think they're just ringing the register right now. We'll see what happens. Silver was trying to look like it was trying to get up through here and find some support, but it couldn't do it. Got bumped down, but it just has not really taken out its this support area in here. So silver, and then wake up in the morning. Looks like it's gonna be down around here somewhere. So looks like silver's showing some weakness, and is going to continue to pull back into here, maybe find some support and head higher. Got its moving averages coming up to help support, so it's in an uptrending market, but it's just having a little bit of a pullback right now, currently. All right, so we can look for some support in this area for silver. All right, but silver is selling off at the moment. The Dow, same thing. The Dow put in this doji here, then they put in this doji here, and it's set to open up a little bit around in here this morning, but you can't count on that kind of stuff. It's currently in an uptrending market, so the red is can't trust this red, because we're uptrending market still. So even though it's red, it may not be red for long. It can switch and turn on us and head back up. So be careful with with your trade on these stocks that are in an uptrending market. All right, because like how this one was selling off, and then all of a sudden it just turned around on a dime. So it gave you the signal, hey, we're going the other way, and then it did it, and then it did it again, and it did it again. And if you weren't in here somewhere, and you missed out. All right, because you had that right there, that little support right there. Springboard off of that, then you had the 20 come underneath to confirm it. All right, so be conscious of these turnarounds. This is kind of slowing down. It was selling off, but now they're kind of like, are we really trying to sell off here? So pay attention to stuff like that. Same thing here. It went selling off. It was like, hold on a second. I had this little gravestone doji, or it's not really a gravestone because of that little tail there, but it did a little reversal and then sold off some more. It was a week, probably was more like a dead cat bounce than anything, but it did, take almost this bar off, which, that's a lot of that bar that got wiped out, and I'm sure whoever was in this short was like, whoa, this isn't cool. Alright, so anyway, next up is the Apple. And Apple ran into some troubles over here still. I'm a little bit, the way the market's looking this morning with the Dow, Let's see the NASDAQ again. NASDAQ. Let's take a look at Russell. Okay. So we're still looking like we're in a down market. We're still going to sell. So I wouldn't get too excited about how some of these other stocks are looking. I think we're going to continue to sell off, even in Apple, just because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. The president put a hold on the tariff thing, so but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're still not going to feel the pain in these other companies like Apple and the companies that pretty much do a lot overseas. Put it that way. Overseas market, I don't, we need to have, inexpensive goods, but at the same time, we need to be able to let these companies know that, they need to invest in the United States as well. Quit taking the money out of the country. Because the government does enough of that on their own. Alright, I'm off that soapbox. Next up is APLD and Applied Digital Corp. Took a hit yesterday. Might be in a good price range. We got that window that might want to close there, $70. Still in the uptrending market, so depending on where they could put the brakes on and reverse it, might be a good trade up to the upside. A nice little $4 move back to retest this pointer. So we'll see what happens with that. It's got another window open up down here too at around $4.05. So I'd be careful here on this one. Next up, APP. You down with APP? And man, I knew that was coming on this one. It pushed up, hit that 525, and then came back to close this window. Got another window open up down here too. So Apple 11 might be continuing to sell off. We'll see what happens if it decides to hold on here for a little while, go back and maybe try to retest and then come back down, or if it's just going to come on down, close the garage door and head back out. Alright, next up is BBAI, Big Bear Holdings, and we got to sell. Big Bear is selling. Next up, BITI. BITI is the inverse of the Bitcoin, and it's pushing higher, heading to 24.54. So 24.55. I'm sorry. Currently, pre-market, it's already up at $25, so it's up here somewhere in pre-market. All right, going to reclose this window it opened. Got another window open up here too at $33. So we may continue to see some selling in Bitcoin because this has to be reconciled also. So this has to be reconciled. The Bitcoin's windows open have to be reconciled. So they're family. All right. Next up is Cake. Cake is finally showing some weakness. Back down in here, there's 52.10. It may be coming back down to shed its windows that it opened up also. So Cheesecake Factory is showing some weakness in the this morning in the pre-market. So it's set to open up around 52. So we may be getting back down here, reconcile this window in Cheesecake Factory. Canopy Growth, weed stocks aren't doing so good. Sell. Comcast came down, found some a bottom, but then it bounced back up. Tried to shut the window, couldn't quite close it, so it still needs to close that window so it can come on back down here again. But currently it's in a downtrending market, so Comcast is a sell, and currently a seller's market. Next up is Chipotle. And Chipotle is now into a down trending market. Got the 200 rolling over, the 8 and 9 SMA's rolling over, the 20 rolling over. So everything's rolling over on Chipotle, and Chipotle is currently in a down market. So I suspect it's going to continue to go lower and maybe bounce around in this channel that it's making and continue lower until it finds a bottom. But currently, Chipotle is in a down, starting to be a more does a. Let me try this again. Chipotle appears to be in a down trending market. Right now, our moving averages are rolling over. They haven't quite rolled over all the way yet. So once these start heading down for sure, then we know we're going to continue to sell off in Chipotle. But currently, I'm saying, yeah, it looks like we're going to continue to head lower in Chipotle. So I wouldn't count on it going higher anytime soon with the rest of the market the way it's moving. Center Point Energy continues to try to push higher. It's pushed up through this area here at 34.44, and that's been the high so far. Most recent high, and that's not a bad push from down here, but it's running into some. I mean, it's still struggling to get up there. So we'll probably move this white line up a little bit higher as we are more secure, and then we're going to continue to go higher. But the overall market is not affecting Center Point at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Energy stocks are probably doing pretty well because of the weather right now. People got that heater going like crazy. Next up is Corsair. And Corsair is showing some weakness still. Maybe trying to find some support around this 1138 area. We need the support in here to retest this. If we don't get support here, then we're coming back down here. Alright. Or maybe even lower. But currently we need some support here at 1138. So be careful with Corsair. We may continue to sell off. But it is in a market that's trying to turn up and head higher. So we can only hope for the best for Corsair. Next up is Crowd, and Crowd continues to sell off. Has a little window open down here that is probably going to want to come down and reconcile down around $290. So, and that's a lot of wiping out some movement right there. It took out a lot. Alright, so maybe some support in this area. We'll see what happens if it holds on. But this thing looks like it wants to come all the way back down here to 293 or 290.33. Alright, so Crowd is currently looking like a sell also. Capital Southwest and Capital Southwest Corporation is putting in some sell bars. Can't get above this. The moving trade winds can't get above the trade winds. Ran into some resistance here at $23. Now, if this $23 doesn't hold here, then we're probably going to come back down here to $20 and retest this area down here before trying to do it again. Alright, next up is DRIP. DRIP's the inverse of oil and gas. And oil and gas is going down, so DRIP should be going up. And next up is EDIT. And I don't know how I got this on my chart, but it doesn't look too bad. Only problem is that it's in a down market. So it needs to get up above these moving averages and make them roll up before we can be confident that we're going to continue going higher. It's got earnings coming up on March the 5th, so we'll see what happens with that. But currently it's not looking too bad, but you know, down market, $1.12. Let's see, analyze. It's been losing money every year. I just probably wouldn't touch it. I don't even know how I ended up with it on my chart. I think I was looking at somebody else on one of the other guys, B Hayes, or it might have been yeah, I think it was B Hayes who was talking about that stock. I don't know, but anyway, if it wasn't UB, I'm sorry. Next up is Grayscale Bitcoin. Grayscale Bitcoin, of course, is selling off along with Bitcoin. Look for some support, maybe around $70. If that don't hold, then look out below. We're going to head back down here to this $55 area. And there's a nice little I was going to say option trade, but the options trades are changing this morning, so we have to wait and see what happens when the market opens, how our options are looking. But you know, you can, I don't know if you want to hold on to your shares of it and put on a put and hedge your position, or if you want to just ring the register. It's up to you. But I remember this thing was $13. That was crazy. Next up is GME, and GameStop continues to sell off. It's back into the trade winds here, so we'll see what happens if it finds some support, if it blows through it. But looks like they're ringing the register on this one too. And you know, like I said, highly manipulated, so you just gotta be careful with these guys. Amazon selling off. Let's see. Google selling off. Might be closing this window real quick. Maybe it might be the end of the sell-off for Google. We'll see what happens with that. Got a window open up here, so got to reconcile that. So we may be heading higher at some point in Google. So once we get this part figured out, then maybe we're going to come up here. You can buy your calls and head higher, or buy your shares, or whatever you're going to do. But yeah, there's that's why they call it options, because there are options in these markets. So that's all I got this morning. I hope you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And Comcast, I think we talked about it. Looks like it's going to come back down and retest this. I think that's all I got for you this morning. So, yeah, that's it. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be careful out there. These markets are crazy.